Hey guys, so this video was inspired by a conversation that I had with a new coworker slash friend, and she's a younger gal, super interested in finding out like how did gay folks hook up back in the day, like before social media and dating apps. Was it, especially particularly the younger folks, like was it something to where you had to wait until you were of age and go to a bar or a club, and that's when you actually could explore your sexuality? And my response was that, we all have different journeys. We all have our own unique stories that all took different routes. But one thing that I think is safe to say, at least for most of us, is that we all experience that same feeling, most of us, to where as you're growing up and you're living your life year after year, it just becomes the weight of secrecy, the weight of not being able to be who you are, it gets to you. And it's like the dam doesn't break all at once. It does crack, and you have leaks, and you have these moments prior to coming out to where you're like, man, just for a second, I need to breathe. I just need to be who I am. It's too much. I know I'm not alone in thinking that or having those same thoughts back in the day. So this is a story of, I don't know if it's the first time, but maybe one of the most life-changing, or at least where my mind started to change a bit, of that first crack for me. So it's also a little bit about my first job, which is maybe one of my favorite jobs, but let's get into this, okay? So again, I went to school and I grew up in New York, and the high school that I went to, I was in arts and theater, and so a lot of my friends were either gay, bisexual, or straight ally. It was a very open-minded group of friends that I had, and we didn't judge each other based on that. And even though I still couldn't come out the closet, like my brother went to the same school, so I had to think about that. Also, I wasn't ready. I still didn't know myself, so it didn't matter, because just the thought that I could be around people who were open and were like, I didn't feel so guarded, that was enough for me at the time. Like that was, even that in and of itself was a relief. And so yeah, I loved going to school. I loved hanging out with my friends. And I remember a friend of mine saying, hey, I have this after school job where you can we worked for this newsletter to where you stuff envelopes. Is $5 an hour, which at the time, and for a high school kid, I thought I was rich. $5 an hour. But even more importantly than the money, I obviously I started to work there, but what I loved about it was that it was an opportunity for me to just stay in that part of New York where, with my open-minded friends, because thinking about the Bronx and Spanish Harlem and where I grew up, that it was it's kind of like I was living in two different worlds, and I prefer living in one over the other. So that was an excuse for me to stay in that world. And again, I loved it. And we're stuffing envelopes, but we're still chit-chatting and still having, these amazing conversations. So it really didn't feel like work to me at all. But I remember our boss at one point saying, hey, I need a couple of you to volunteer. We're going to be having these special projects that will be on the weekend and later at night. And this was around graduation and prom, and all of this stuff was going on. So a lot of people declined, but because I had no life, I volunteered, and so did another friend of mine. So we were the two volunteers, and we did these kind of cool things around New York City. I don't know if they even still do it anymore, but back in the day, you would see posters alongside of the buildings of just different albums or movies or what have you. And so that was one of the things where we were tasked to put up these posters with plaster. I don't think it was legal, because I do remember us having to look out for the police, but yeah, so we did that. And also we were paid $10 an hour for this. So oh my gosh, I'm rich. But just different things like that, going to outreach get-togethers and parties and just all of this cool Lower East Side, West Village type of functions. I had a ball. But this one night in particular, we were working for this at this charity fundraising event, and it was on board the USS Intrepid, which is an old aircraft carrier museum. And so, again, there was a lot of, you could tell, a lot of rich, hoity-toity, like the weird, eclectic, funky people of New York. They were all in attendance for this fundraiser. And the vendors, we were kind of lined up alongside the entrance to this event. And it was kind of our job to hawk our stuff. And so we had buttons and t-shirts, and we could sign people up for subscriptions to the newsletter, just that kind of stuff. We had a little table set up. And I remember at one point, our boss, he came over and he had a bunch of Zima beer. I don't know if you guys remember that. They may have sponsored the event, but he's like, hey, this is for you guys. Just don't let anyone see you drinking it. We were underage, so we're like, cool. So we're downing these Zimas. At one point, there was a security guard who was kind of, directly behind us. He sees what we're doing, so we strike up a conversation. He's like, "Are you guys drinking Zima?" So it turns out he was guarding the entrance to, like, the back entrance to where the entertainment for the event entered. And I mean, not anyone like super famous, but people that I admired. Did I eventually get to go and meet someone who was an idol of mine, who told it to my heart? Perhaps, I'm not going to say, but yeah, we had a great conversation with him. And then so me and my friend, we come up with this plan where she goes, okay, let's, again, I was in the closet. So she goes, let's do this thing to where I will flirt with all the girls and can you flirt with all the guys? And I was kind of like, yeah, it's going to be a difficult challenge, but I'll give it a go. So that was the plan. And we went out there and yeah, we went to work. Like, I was flirting, she was flirting. We went through our stuff like that, like to the point to where the next time our boss checked on us, he's like, where's all the stuff? I'm like, oh, it's gone. What we're doing is subscriptions because everything, yeah, we got rid of everything. And he's like, really? Cool, I'm gone. And so he gave us VIP passes to the event. He goes, you guys go in, have a great time. Whatever time you leave, just let me know and I'll pay you for it. What? So we were super excited, and the security guard, he just so happened to be getting off of his shift at that same time. So the three of us make our way into this event, and we're just all, she's in the middle, I'm on one side, he's on the other side, and the three of us were just dancing and just having a great time. If I remember correctly, one of us at a certain point just started pouring, was it water or beer? I don't remember, over the three of us, and it most likely was me. I have to be honest to say that, yeah, it probably was me. But yeah, that's the kind of night that we were having, just tons and tons of fun. At one point, the security guard, I remember him saying something like, you guys are a blast, and me and him, we just really got along well. We were talking a lot with each other, and so he takes out, like, he had written his number on a piece of paper. So he gives it to me. He goes, hey, so if I give you my number, would you call me sometime to hang out? So my friend, being a good friend that she was like, oh, she goes, no, he's not gay. She goes, I'm bisexual. She goes, but no, he's straight. And the guy was like, oh, he goes, well, we could still hang out. Like, I didn't necessarily mean that, but it's cool. I understand. And so we keep on dancing, but man, then the rest of that night, that's in my head. Like, I was just, because he was so cute. And I'm thinking, is this going to be my entire life of me just being quiet and being silent and just living like this? Like, even in this environment where everyone's so open-minded, I'm still stuck in the closet. And a crack just happened. So I waited. At one point, my friend, she had to go use the restroom, I believe. So, but she leaves, and so me and him, we kind of just fill in the gap, and we're just dancing with each other face to face. And at one point, he kind of leans in and whispers into my ear. He goes, hey, I just want to apologize. Like, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable or nervous, but I thought you were cute. But now that I know that you're straight, it's all good. And that's when I thought, it's now or never. So I kind of leaned in and whispered in his ear. I said, I never said I was straight. So we kind of both like back away and kind of look at each other and kind of smile. And so he takes out the number and he goes, so would you like this? And I was like, absolutely. So I take the number and put it in my back pocket, and we just have like a quick kiss, you know. Yeah, so friend comes back, we say our goodbyes, we go home, and that's that. But I did call him, we did meet up a few times. Again, I think at that point I was still too kind of nervous to see if it could, how that would go any further. I still felt like a kid in a way, if that makes any sense, even though I was probably 16, 17, yeah, 17 at the time. I didn't know how to navigate that. So yeah, outside of a few dates, I didn't go anywhere, but that was the first crack. And that was, I remember leaving that night. I got on the train and I was on cloud nine. And that was the first time. That was the first time where I was happy with myself. I was proud of myself. And man, I thought about the future in a way that I never had before. And it was kind of like, man, getting me a little bit emotional. But yeah, it was that moment where I thought, man, this could be my life, to where I am just going after my happiness and not being worried about anyone else except for my happiness. You know, that was that first time that I think that I ever felt that way. So yeah, super important moment for me in my history. And so I wanted to share that with y'all, because I'm sure that you guys can match and beat that story, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So please, like would be great, subscribe would be even better, but most importantly, comment and let me know what was your first crack. And again, not necessarily when you came out the closet, but when was that first moment when you finally gave in to what you know, gave into who you know you always were.